FM Talk.
The racial breakdown?
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. What a statement that we see there from Harry Enton of CNN, giving those details on who actually does support this idea to have a voter ID to show identification that you in fact are a United States citizen. It's already the law. We're just asking that you prove that you are who you say you are when you vote. And it's also a bit telling, wouldn't you say? The people who don't want this to happen, there's a kind of a consistency to who those people are. What's so scary about having somebody present that ID that shows you, yeah, in fact, I am a citizen? The other thing that they're saying right now is it's a sexist endeavor because women are going to have to procure basically a birth certificate to prove that their new last name is as such. Here's Speaker Johnson.
The question is often asked by pollsters, and the polling consistently shows 80 to 90% of Americans believe that proof of citizenship and proof of a valid ID should be required to vote. And there are a few issues in American politics that have that level of bipartisan support. This is one of them. The issue has so much support because it's just common sense.
So Speaker Johnson weighing in as well, saying, yeah, this is common sense. And I think it is. And you could ask every demographic, and it seems as though a majority of folks, maybe just not Democrats in Capitol Hill, maybe that's the Democrat, or maybe that's the demographic that doesn't actually agree with it. Let's talk to our friend, Senator Eric Schmitt, back on the Annie Frey Show with us. Of course, United States Senator representing Missouri. Welcome back to the show, Senator. Good to have you here with us.
Good to be back with you, Annie.
I talked a little bit earlier in the show with Michelle Tafoya. She wants to, of course, be a senator from the state of Minnesota. When it comes to fraud and voter rolls and all of these questions that predate anybody actually getting into the office that you're sitting in right now as a senator, there are so many questions that the American people have as to what's actually fair. And I think the SAVE Act is a good place to start in getting us on the right track to making sure that citizens are voting.
Yeah, I mean, it's common sense. I think we do a lot of stupid things up here. And I think that what people really want us to do is focus on the things that really make sense, that improve their lives, and also provide integrity to the election process that we all, think is really important. And this is a simple way to do it, which is you just have to show ID when you vote. I think you mentioned some of the polling, or you had some polling. This is an 80-20 issue, including over 70% of Democrats support this. Over 90% of Republicans support this. So every demographic across the board, white, black, whatever, everybody supports this. And so I think it's something we should do if we actually care about the integrity of our elections. I think it's interesting, though, that this issue and illegal immigration are kind of big topics right now at the same time because they're related.
Yeah.
The Democrats at this point have lost the argument with the American people. They're not trusted. They had 4 years of a total disaster. President Trump's in, and they know that the reason why they imported 15 to 20 million people here illegally is they want them to be their voters. That's just the truth. And I think we just got to stop acting like that's not the reality. It is. So if we care about this country, we would do something like this, which is why it's called the Save America Act.
Senator Schmitt, what's the mechanism to getting this done? My understanding is that the House has passed some version of this. I don't know if it needs to change. I want to talk to you in a bit about the Protect America Act that you're pushing forward. But how do you get this done in the Senate to make sure it gets to the president's desk?
Yeah, so the House presumably will pass it, I think, this week, and then we come over here. And then we'd have to spend a lot of time on it. And, we got the filibuster at 60 votes. But what Senator Lee has been talking about is something like a talking filibuster, meaning it's not just enough to have 60. You kind of actually have to hold the floor a la Jimmy Stewart from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, right? And I think a lot of people would support that. If you're going to try to block something like this, you're going to have to earn it. It may take a while, but I do think it's something that's important, and I think it's something that we should dedicate a lot of time to.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think the country, if you do anything, it's got to be this, and maybe your Protect America Act. I see here that, at least according to Grok, you've got 4 pillars to it: ending sanctuary cities, enhancing penalties for illegal entry and reentry, protecting law enforcement, and defending rogue NGOs. Start from the top there, Senator, and tell us what
First of all, I love that you use Grok.
I did.
As opposed to like a press release.
I did.
Did you just type in, what is Eric Schmitt's Protect America Act?
The prompt for everybody at home on Grok is, give me bullet points on Senator Eric Schmitt's Protect America Act.
Look at this show prep.
Yeah, I know.
Annie,
it's changing.
I love it.
It's evolving. Thank you, Elon Musk.
You are. Now, the next step, you're so smart. The next step is for you to leave Illinois and come to Missouri.
Oh,
Can
gosh.
I convince you of that? Ask Grok to lay out 10 reasons why you should leave Illinois and come to Missouri. What does it say?
I will
Can we do this live?
Let's
do this live.
I'll make you a deal. Sell me on the Protect America Act. I'll ask Grok a question in the background.
Okay. Protect America Act. So it does 4 things. We tried to keep this very simple, right? So the Democrats are putting all these ridiculous proposals that effectively would kneecap ICE and prevent them from doing their jobs. And what's the reason for that? Because they want de facto amnesty for the 15 to 20 million people who are here illegally. So my counterproposal is, first of all, that's a stupid idea. We're not going to do that. And my counterproposal is, okay, we want to have an immigration debate. Let's have it. Let's actually strengthen penalties for illegal entry and illegal reentry in this country. Let's strengthen penalties for going after ICE officers. Let's get rid of these NGOs who are creating the chaos in our streets, and let's end sanctuary cities. Those are the 4 things. Broad support. They would do a lot to deal with all the issues that you see. Look, these deportations are happening everywhere across America, Annie, in red states and blue states alike. What is the reason why you see what happened in Minneapolis happening in Minneapolis? It's because they're a sanctuary city, meaning they do not cooperate with ICE or any federal authorities when illegal alien criminals are being released from prison. So a rapist, somebody who's breaking into homes, all of that stuff, once they're released, what would normally happen in most jurisdictions, local authorities would say, hey, we got this guy coming out, you can pick him up here, no drama. But they don't do that. And so then the ICE agents have to have a bunch more people go into neighborhoods and go get these guys and send them back home. So that's the real problem with sanctuary cities. And you see a lot of tragedy in the wake of what these illegal immigrants have done. And these ICE officers are just trying to do their jobs. Like, there are neighbors, there are family members, there are friends. Step back, let them do their jobs, and you wouldn't have these problems.
Senator Schmitt, one of the things that I've heard from people, my friends, people I know who have, good hearts, bad politics, basically, they say they think that Trump is targeting blue cities and blue states with the immigration raids. And I'm like, that's where the dumb politics are on this issue. Like, it's so easy to encourage people on the left to just see it as a political targeting of a Minnesota or maybe a Chicago, Illinois, or wherever these sanctuary cities and states are. But that's the place. These blue cities and these blue states is literally where these criminals have sanctuary. That's the policy.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is there's actually more deportations in red states than blue states, okay? The problem is in these 9 jurisdictions across the country, ICE agents are 590 times more likely to be assaulted in those 9 jurisdictions. And why? Because normally these operations go on without a hitch. You don't ever hear about them. They go and they get the person that's done the stuff and they send them back home. But in sanctuary jurisdictions, it makes it more difficult. It creates more confrontations potentially. And then, of course, you have leadership like Tim Walz and Jacob Frey saying, get in their faces, F ICE. And so then they create these situations that are dangerous. And so what you'll never hear a Democrat say, which is what I wish they would say, which is, by the way, what we should all say, is protest all you want. This is America. But let ICE do their jobs.
Yeah.
If we did that, actually, you wouldn't have dangerous situations. Our country better for it. And the people who broke our nation laws would, there'd be real consequences behind it.
Another part of it is enhanced penalties for illegal entry and reentry. I hear a lot of these folks who come here and maybe they have traffic crimes or DUIs or something like that, where it's not like they're out there murdering and raping children, but they are still crimes. But they've been deported 3 and 4 times and they just keep coming back.
Yep, it would create a 10-year minimum if you for illegal reentry. So I think what you have to have is, and as a former prosecutor, as a former attorney general, people respond to incentives. I remember specifically when I was AG, we had the Safer Streets Initiative. We worked with federal prosecutors to prosecute criminals, and we heard stories when a criminal was being picked up in St. Louis, for example, if they thought they wanted to know, were these federal charges or were these state charges? If they were federal charges, they knew they were in trouble because there's mandatory minimums. In state court, when Kim Gardner was the prosecutor, they were laughing at it. They knew they would be out the next day. So these incentives matter. A lot of these people, they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. The cartels have instructed them how to do it. So if it's actually a felony the first time and you might be in jail the first time, that's a disincentive. If you enhance the penalty for reentry, that's also a disincentive. Right now, we've had too many instances of catch and release and a lot of these tragedies where women in particular have been raped and murdered. These were people who, were multiple offenders and came back into the country.
Yeah, it had like these are such basic things. I can't believe that you have to put
Common
this into
sense.
an act that's going to get passed. But thank you for doing so. Defending.
All right, so are you coming to Missouri? What's the deal? What's the verdict?
I have 5 really good points by Brock. I said, give me 5.
All right, I will stop badgering you. I will stop badgering the witness.
Yeah,
so.
if Brock convinces me, but Senator Eric Schmitt couldn't, then AI has really progressed here. I said, give me 5 economic and political reasons I should move from Illinois to Missouri. Number 1, significantly lower property taxes.
Boom.
Illinois has some of the highest property taxes in the United States. That is factual. Overall, the second one, overall lower cost of living and more affordable housing. There's another one, so that makes the move easy, I guess. More favorable business and tax environment. Fourth one is stronger job market and economic opportunities in key sectors. And the last one is more conservative political climate and policy alignment. It's a winner.
Nice. Let me add another one. Eric Schmitt loves you. Eric Schmitt wants you to come.
Yeah, thank you. Could you ask Senators Durbin and Duckworth how they feel about me? Tell them to come on my show.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll say.
I don't know if they even know who I am. So when you go to get this SAVE Act, is that going to be separate from the Protect America Act? Two completely separate things.
Yes. So really right now, to kind of set the stage, this week, so we passed all the appropriations bills for everything that funds government, like 93%. There's one left. It's DHS. It's the Department of Homeland Security. That includes funding for Border Patrol, ICE, FEMA, TSA. Okay, that's the one that's remaining. The Democrats, so we passed a temporary funding measure that expires at the end of this week. The Democrats are now holding that hostage for a bunch of ridiculous demands for ICE. Okay, so the counter to those ridiculous demands is the Protect America Act. You want to have the debate? Let's actually have the debate on what we can do to solve these problems. And it begins with ending sanctuary cities. So the Save America Act would be something, once we get past this funding battle, whenever that is, the next few days, the next couple of weeks, we'll see. That's, I think, when Save America Act would probably be something that we would really push full force.
Senator Eric Schmitt, come back again soon. We love having these chats. I will continue to study what you were doing in the Senate with Grok.
Awesome.
It's
all right,
very
take
concise.
care. We'll see you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Senator Eric Schmitt, the United States Senator from Missouri.